but I think there will be sub personas or micro personas, right? And you will have to hyper personalize your content, and maybe one piece of content will have to be rewritten 4 or 5 times for the different audiences, right? Because it's going to be harder to stand out and harder to compete. So your generic content for everybody is not going to cut it anymore.
Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free. And now, back to today's episode. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SaaS SEO Show. I'm your host, George Cassiotis, and today I'm very happy and excited to be joined by Carlos Meza. Carlos is a guiding voice in an SEO and content creation industry brimming with turbulent growth. As CEO of CrowdContent Media, a leading content writing platform, Carlos has leveraged his past experience as a technology executive, engineer, and corporate person to bring innovative end-to-end content creation solutions to SMBs and enterprise clients around the globe, delivering high-quality, scalable products through the marriage of human talent, technology, automation, and artificial intelligence. Carlos, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, George. I'm a corporate person. I've never been called that. I've been called many things.
I can tell you. It's like there was another word that I cannot try to pronounce right now. So corporate person. We can start with that, and I hope that the audience will forgive me. So even though I said a couple of things, can you share like a couple of things about your background and what has brought you to CrowdContent? Because as I hear it, it's kind of a diverse background, right? Engineer, you were also into finance or something like that. So anything you can share with us so we can kick things off.
Yeah, I think when I think back at your question, what brought me here, I think it's just luck, serendipity, and just curiosity. I always been a curious person, and I've never been happy with the status quo. So I've been bouncing around a little bit. I went to school for engineering because it was kind of the career that was accessible to me. It was in town, what my parents could afford, and I was very good with math. I thought, I could probably afford a good living if I can be an engineer. But by things of destiny, I ended up working for big multinational banks right out of school. I think just because of my math training, I was pretty good for finance. So funny enough, I never was a real engineer. And then after many years doing that and working with entrepreneurs, helping them finance their business, helping them buy businesses, I thought that I really wanted to be at the other side of the table. I wanted to be an entrepreneur and kind of own my own destiny a little bit more. And instead of being a very small mouse in a very big wheel, I wanted to be maybe have a bigger contribution, even if it was in a smaller business. And like I said, have more control of my destiny. So yeah, I decided to quit my banking life and started a small investment fund and went on to try to buy technology companies. We bought a SaaS company here in Canada in the education technology sector, and I was in that company for a few years. Then this opportunity to run CrowdContent came around, and it was actually really exciting. The company was very small when I joined, and we have now double our size in a couple of years, and it's been a very exciting space. I think the content marketing and the marketing world are very, very interesting, and the media publishing and all that are growing, and there's so much demand for it. So I thought that was a very, very interesting opportunity. for
I
me.
think
So
I think that with this
that's
background, CrowdContent's financial will be everything will be in order, right? But that aside, can you share a couple of things about CrowdContent, what CrowdContent is, and who gets the most value?
Yeah, so CrowdContent is a content writing platform. It works like a marketplace, so you can come in and find freelance writers, freelance editors to help you with your content needs. But really, we have folks on the upper side of the market, with clients with high volume and high quality needs, and those are the customers that we serve the best because as projects get larger and with a high quality bar, that's a very complex thing to do. So we have been able to marry those two conflicting goals, right? High quality and high scale are not the best of friends. So, but we were able to figure out a process to do that well. And I think clients that have large volume and are very, very interested in high quality and are willing to invest in high quality are the clients that really get the most out of our services.
So essentially, you match clients and their like needs to writers who are kind of registered in the platform. Is this how it
Yes,
works?
writers, editors, and experts, because we also bring subject matter experts. Sometimes subject matter experts are not writers, and sometimes writers are not subject matter experts. But we have that in our database as well. So of course, when clients come to us, they tell us this is what we're looking for, and we help them find the best teams, the best writers to help them come through with those projects.
Can I ask you what, in your opinion, makes a good marketplace? Is it like what you mentioned just now, basically maintaining high quality at scale? Is it something else beyond that, matching that to great prices? Is it, something additional to
There's a
that?
number of things that I think make a marketplace successful or a writing marketplace successful. One of them is the quality of the writers. So you have to have a very strict process to vet them and and check on them and make sure that the good writers get rewarded and the not so good writers maybe are a better fit for some other places. And the better writers you bring, the better clients you bring, then there will be better work for more writers, for better writers. So it's a virtuous cycle. So that's one thing. The other thing is having a very seamless communication workflow. And we build our own technology. And really, when I say we were able to marry high scale with high quality, that's thanks to our workflow and the technology we have built to make communication easy back and forth. Because this is a process that is not linear. There's a lot of back and forth between client and freelancer, client and writers. So making that communication, that workflow management easy is also key. And third is just having really the client's interest at the core. And I know it's kind of obvious, but I know about other platforms. When clients come to us, they come from a different platform. Say, look, we just couldn't get what we needed there. It's like they didn't care. We care a lot. All of our people care a lot. Or writers, or the culture of our company is all about high performance and high value for clients. So I think for any business, just having the client at heart at the core of the operation is very important. But this is a service business, right? There's humans, there's creativity involved. So service levels have to be very, very high.
Can I ask you, going back to what you mentioned or kind of touched on regarding subject matter expertise, how do you vet for that? Like how can you validate that someone who says they are an expert on like a certain topic, they
Yeah,
are
for us,
they are
yeah,
indeed an expert? And how
yeah.
do you
So
how do you match those follow-up question? How do you match those writers and skills and subject matter experts to customer needs?
yeah, it's not easy, but for us, we have the processes, and because this is what we do 24/7, we have now figured out a way to do it on a scalable and repeatable manner. But the process is an extensive process, right? So our selection process, they have to go through a vetting process that where we not only look at their credentials, like their resumes, we also look at their experience. Okay, well, show me what you have done. Do you have samples of your work? Can you create a sample on a spec now, right? So those are the kind of things that we do for subject matter experts. So there is a lot of trial and error, right? Because only their resume and their experience and whatever they say is not enough for us. We need to see proof of work. And then even when we match them with clients, so we look at our database and we of course look at what are the client needs and where is the expertise, what kind of expertise they need. And even the expertise is like an intermediate expertise, there's an advanced expertise. Do they need certain titles? Like you were talking about a medical doctor. Do they need certain to be a licensed medical doctor, right? So those so we look at the database. What are the things that the client needs, and they match it with what experts are in our database. A lot of the time, we have to go out and find those experts because there is we have been asked for many topics under the sun, but there is a lot of new topics coming every day. And even within topics, there are subtopics and niches that we have never thought about. But we go and find them because that's what we are really good at, to find these subject matter experts, vet them, and match them with the clients. Now, but there is an iterative process, right? So we have to test them and see them work a few times until we're convinced that they're going to be a great match.
Can I ask you something? I'm curious, like generally interested, and just this question popped to my mind right now as you were answering the question. Do the writers that you have, like, do you have an exclusivity, let's say, agreement? They just have to work for you, or do they work for other marketplaces as well?
We don't have an exclusivity, and that's the beauty of it, right? Because that gives a lot of flexibility to the clients and the writers, right? So a lot of our writers work for different marketplaces or different platforms, but we have a core group of writers that they call CrowdContent Home. They're still freelancers. They don't have an exclusivity with us.
Yep.
We don't have an exclusivity with them, but this is the platform that they like to work for the most, or where they rather just work for one platform. I think talking to freelancers, their preference is they like to have the option to work with all of them, but they like to work for one or two where they feel more comfortable. And we have a core group of writers that call CrowdContent Home.
Yeah, and I would guess for them as well, like the bulk of the revenue on a monthly basis would naturally come out of just a few, let's say, marketplaces or like clients or whatever. It can't be that like I split myself to 10 different marketplaces. Now, obviously, this is a time of like many changes happening in our industry, right? I would like to hear your thoughts on what these changes are, as you see them. It could be AI content, short form, and bite-sized content for social media. What changes do you see right now?
We're in a very exciting time for our industry because there's so many changes, and with change comes opportunity. It might be change might be scary, but I'm always an optimist, and I want to look for the opportunity where things are changing. So of course, I think we'll talk about AI, but let's park that topic just for a second because that deserves its own section. But I think really where the bar is going higher and higher. Let's talk about the search engine and let's talk about Google. But Google just last year, or I think it's over the last couple of years, there have been 7 algorithm updates that have been focused on the quality of the content. Right, some other algorithm updates are about certain specific things, but most of the last ones have been all about content quality. Even the last ones have been called helpful content updates. So the bar is getting so high that in the past you could get away with just a lot of volume and just some keyword stuff, and now it's all about intent. It's all about really creating great content that is going to be created for humans by humans, that is going to be very helpful, right? And to be very helpful, you need to solve a problem, you need to put effort. Now, I don't know if you heard recently that Google came with another E on their EATs, now EEAT, and they also said an effort. So they didn't put effort into the EEAT because it would be EEEAT, but they talked about, okay, we're gonna the quality rating guidelines. They're going to look at experience, which is not the same as expertise, but also going to look at how much effort put the creator of this content. So the quality just keeps going up. Bite-sized content, yes. So I think with the prominence of TikTok and YouTube short videos, yes. I'm just not quite sure if that's going to be sustainable in the long run. I think it'll be a space for it, but is all content going that way? I don't think so. I was reading a piece from Anne Handley just recently where the case that she's making about she's not agreeing with this snackable content or the bite-sized content, because she's like, look, if people want snack bite-sized content, people wouldn't sit down and binge watch Netflix for 5 hours. People just want content that is engaging, that they're interested on. So I think there's a place for bite-sized content, but it won't be the main thing. I think the quality bar is going to continue to go up, and AI actually is going to contribute to that, ironically, because what is happening with AI is leveling the playing field, giving everybody the ability to create a lot of content, giving everybody the ability to create content very quickly, very, very efficiently. So if everybody can create content, or at least written content very efficiently, really what kind of content is going to stand out? And that's going to be like really exceptional content, maybe multi-asset, multimedia, interactive content, really helpful content, almost like artisanal content, so to speak, or like highly crafted content. So those are the big changes I see in the industry. The quality bar just keeps going up, and AI, ironically, is going to push that quality bar up rather than down.
That's an optimistic way to see it. And also I think that, yeah, there will be so much content out there that inevitably, like, the level will have to go up. Otherwise, because I mean, I wonder sometimes, what's the point of it all, right? Like, let's say that you can spit out 100,000 words tomorrow, right? I mean, what's the point? Who's going to read that content? Like, most likely no one. And also, for a search engine like Google, which in 2023 is still the most prominent search engine, even though many people are rushed to say that, you know what, like, Bing is going to dominate and whatever. I don't know. No one knows, I guess, at this point. But it's going to be very difficult to crawl that content and give it a position, let's say, in this like search ecosystem, right? So many things that arise from AI content in general, and many issues, like some ethical ones, some moral ones, financial ones for sure. But I would like to hear your thoughts on AI content. And also, I've seen that some marketplaces similar to CrowdContent have already taken a stance and opened new service lines based on generative content. Is CrowdContent going to follow?
Look, I think AI, as anything, is a tool, it's a technology, and it's very interesting. And you know, there are many applications for it. And of course, because you and I are in the content marketing industry, we focus a lot in generative AI, which is the one used for copywriting. But I think it's a very interesting tool, and like any new technology tool, you need to understand it and experiment and see what really is. I think we're going through the adoption curve, and there's there are different adoption curves and also kind of hype curves. So there's like every new technology, there's this phase of hype. You know what happened with NFTs, what happened with Bitcoin, and I think we're going through that with ChatGPT. Generative AI has been around for a while now. It's not something new, but ChatGPT kind of brought in all that buzz. into the spotlight. So I just think we need to wait for the dust to settle a little bit and see what really is going to be the best or in a stable use cases for AI. So what is the point of it all? I agree with you. Like, just we shouldn't be creating content for the sake of creating content. So how should we using AI? And I think AI should be used to eliminate the drudgery of creating content. There's a lot of things that have to happen around content creation. And what a lot of people don't understand, because, rightfully so, they're not in an industry, what they understand is composition or content writing might be just 30% of the overall amount of work that you have to put into producing a piece of content, right? You have to do strategy, ideation, competitive research,
Briefing.
briefing. You have to create your briefs. Also, all the technical things that have to go around it. Then you have to do the composition, and then you have to do editorial review, and then you have to optimize the content for SEO, and then you have to polish it, and then you have to put images. You have to have a schema markup. Like, when you add all those the things that need to be done, composition is just a part of it. So can we eliminate some of those more manual tasks? Can we use AI for ideation, for maybe rephrasing, for content audit? I don't know. For content optimization, maybe we can, and maybe we can use it for some of the composition as well. But I don't think it's going to be 100%. Maybe it's 10%, 20%, 30%. But can we use it as a tool for productivity, eliminate some of the drudgery of or some of the more mundane tasks, and put that time back into creating better content? And I think that's what will happen. Smart content creators will find the best use cases for AI, which won't be pushing a button and creating an article. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's where good content is going to go. There will people that will try to do it, but I don't think they're going to get too far. But smart content marketers will find the best use cases for it, and they'll optimize their time, and then they take that time and reclaim some of that time and create better content, right? Invested in creativity, invested in creating other types of assets. I think video is becoming more and more prominent. I think I was reading a study from Content Marketing Institute, and I think the main content type is, of course, blogs and articles, and then the second most common content type is video used. But I think written content is 87%, and then video is like 85% of companies using as a type of content. I think video is going to become more prominent. And I'm not thinking about AI video. I'm thinking about like real video, like people talking and being a little bit more genuine, because people are going to crave more. In an age where a lot of the content is going to be synthetic, people are going to crave more human and genuine content.
What's CrowdContent's stance on all this? I mean, Minucia, I recorded an episode actually for the SaaS SEO Show where we share our thoughts, some predictions, and also, say that we as a company monitor the changes and kind of try to integrate that to do some of the more mundane tasks, as you mentioned, like title tags, meta descriptions, some of these things. But we will not use it for content creation, at least at this point, because, never say never. But I would like to hear your thoughts, because there are some marketplaces that already took a stance, and they just opened new service lines. Yes, we use it, and obviously it's cheaper than our human written content. But I would like to hear your stance.
Yeah. So we made an acquisition last year, and this acquisition had a very small brand called CrowdContent that was experimenting with AI produced content. That was launched so that CrowdContent was launched in November 2021, and we've had it for over a year, and it's been very successful at taking generative AI, producing content, and using human editors to make it a high quality piece. However, we have been very, very transparent with our clients. Look, this type of content is for clients that want to experiment with topics and want to experiment with certain, they're not sure about certain niches or certain topics, and they want to experiment with it. So kind of, cheap way to experiment with it, and we're experimenting with it as well because this is our new technology. So we were very curious about how this would was evolved, and we knew AI was coming, and we want to think ourselves as innovators, and we want to be on the bleeding edge of technology. We would never want to be like an ostrich with our head in the sand, just denying technology. We wanted to be part of it, and if anything, we want to disrupt ourselves. Now, we think AI is a tool like any other technology tool and need to be used properly in an ethical way. So our stance with our clients and our public stance is, look, we'll use AI where there's a case for it, but the clients are paying for human content, will get human content, and we'll be very transparent about it. If you want human content, this is what you're getting, and we're making sure that we're controlling and auditing our writers to make sure that they're not using AI to produce something that is supposed to be human produced. And the clients that want AI and are okay with that, they will be very transparent about it. So we're embracing the technology. We're still in the early days of experimenting. I didn't want to just have a knee-jerk reaction and just launch a product without really knowing, because even the clients, they're not sure, right? Like there's so much noise in the media and all that stuff, but the clients and the sophisticated clients, they're still like, they're being cautious about it because they don't want to be punished by whether it's search engines or their audiences, right? They don't want to, the good clients that really care, they don't want to, they're intrigued about how they can use it, but they don't want to just jump on the bandwagon and start using it. So we're also being very, very cautious and moving slowly but surely. So we're doing some experiments with some of the sophisticated clients to see, okay, what is the right use case for it? Is there a use case for it? Might be, okay, let's use it for 10% of the piece, 20%. I don't know. I don't know where the things are going to go, but we're going to be watching it and we're going to be evolving.
By the way, what is the feedback that you get from the market? Like, are most clients open to using it, or they just feel that it's not worth the risk?
All over the place.
Potential risk. I don't know.
They're all over the place. Some clients are still like, nope, I don't want to touch it. I don't want you to touch it. You need to assure me that you're not gonna the content you produce for me doesn't have it yet. And we totally respect that. There are clients that are all for it and want to really go forward and see where it goes. And there are others that are more like cautious. They're like kind of in the middle, watching what happens, but still willing to experiment. So they're in different stages. And we are also, I think, more in the middle. Like, okay, we want to embrace the technology, but we also don't want to just jump on the hype wagon and burn a reputation, burn our clients more than anything. We want to make sure that our clients get what they need. And we cannot do that if we're using a technology we're just experimenting with.
I agree with you, and I like this approach more because, as you like repeatedly mentioned throughout the episode so far, I think that we are right now. There's a lot of noise and kind of like a panic, right? And we are in a like panic mode, and I don't think that the best thing to do right now is to say that, you know what, yeah, it seems that there's a hype around this thing. Let's like say that we use it and we adopt it just because right now everyone's talking about it, right? Because you never know. Everyone was talking about NFTs, and by no means I'm the expert when it comes to NFTs or any of these things, and like I cannot give advice. But as far as I hear right now, or I don't hear so much these days, the hype is kind of over, right? So I'm not saying that the same thing will happen with AI content. I'm just saying that I agree with your approach. Let's take things slowly. Yes, we monitor the changes and we watch the changes and we experiment with things. But yeah, I think that it's better to let the dust settle down a bit and then take a stance after like knowing and having data and so on and so forth. One interesting thing at Minusia, we have a form for people to leave feedback for people who work at the company, and and of course, without a name or anything, it's anonymous feedback, right? And I didn't know about that, but taking a look at the feedback we received lately, I saw that some of our writers are actually concerned, right? What is the future of the company? Is the company going to replace us? And I was like, do people really think about that? I mean, it's pretty clear that we are not doing this. But I would like to hear your thoughts if you get any like concerns or anything like that from your writers, whether their future is I don't know at stake.
Yeah, I think rightfully so, in a way. There is so much noise, and it's hard to filter through the noise, right? I should find funny that you mentioned that you have kind of a forum and you have feedback from writers. I was reading this morning a Reddit thread where some writers were talking about that, and I found it very, very interesting. And I would say some writers should be worried about it because, and I say writers quote unquote, because we come across many not great writers, right? They call themselves writers, but and look, I personally, I'm a horrible writer, and I think that probably AI can write better than I do, but that's not like, luckily, that's not my job. So, but I think the bottom end of the market, like there are so many marketplaces out there, and some that probably and we're not going to mention names, but where we know it's just content mills and they're just churning content, and they take any writer. So I think those companies are gonna be are gonna have more challenges because some of the writing, the quality is comparable to what AI can do. Maybe even the writers that are using AI to produce the content. So I think some writers should be worried, and this should be an opportunity to polish their skills and think, okay, how can become more unique? How can I create a better piece of content that is more original, has a more human touch? So how can I differentiate myself from the machines? The machines are going to start sounding very similar fairly soon, because I mean, all the content is going to start fairly similar fairly soon because everybody's creating from the same models.
Yep.
Right. So there's going to be a lot of content out there created from the same NLP models or LLM models. And they're all going to start sounding the same. So we need to be unique, and as writers, they need to be unique and original and add value. So I think so the writers that might be in that lower end of the market, there's an opportunity for them to step up.
I agree, and I think that they definitely need to hone their skills and try like work harder. And also, I think that topic agnostic writers will have may have a difficult time, because I mean, if you are not a real subject matter expert, even if it's like in two topics, I can write great content about these two topics, just these two topics, right? Yeah, it's not a very defensible, let's say, position to be, because, well, guess what? If you are not a real subject matter expert, now AI content, or maybe not now, but moving forward in the future, may be in the position to like replace many of the things that you can do. But I think that writers who are like, who have developed subject matter expertise and also can like write content, great content beyond just content that's created for a search audience, I think that they don't have anything to be afraid for now. At least.
I agree with you. I think that's a really brilliant point, George. Like, if as a writer, you're better off probably specializing in one or two verticals, or maybe one vertical, right, where you can really sharpen your sword and become a subject matter expert, right? I think that's where writers have the better odds of being successful in the future.
What other changes do you see, or what changes do you see the commoditization of content like bringing to the content and SEO industry? And I mean, I'm looking for different from things that go beyond the basics, like the obvious ones, like a price decrease when it comes to content, the content is going to be cheaper or anything like that. What other things do you see and like potential challenges for people working in this industry from the commoditization of content?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I think content has been being commoditized for a while, right? Like again, the popularity of content agencies or freelance writing has brought a bunch of content into the industry, which has become commoditized to a point. So now the commoditization will become worse. Um, I'm not sure where the prices are going to go. To be quite honest with you, I don't think it's necessarily going to go down. Some people maybe using AI on their own will really become much cheaper, because what happened, I'm talking to a client the other day and they said something very smart. So yeah, I think we're just doing a trade-off, because the time that we're saving on the composition is time that we now have to put back on the editorial review. So you know what I mean, and we're switching money from one bucket to the other. So I'm not sure, but I think the challenge is going to be hyper competitive now, because again, AI is going to be leveling the playing field, not only with writing, but also with images and even video. But a lot of people are going to be able to produce a lot of content. So yeah, there'll be a flood, a tsunami of content that is going to be now hyper commoditized, and it's going to be harder to stand out. So I think actually people are going to have to invest more, ironically, as as AI makes it cheaper to everyone. um, People that want to stand out will have to invest more, and that's just where I think it will go. And it's going to be harder because other people won't have the resources to compete, right, with brands that have the resources to do that. Again, I was reading a report the other day where they were saying there was a survey, and they were saying people that have spent 2,000 or more on a piece of content are the ones that are seeing the most success. Maybe they'll continue to rise, because you know it's not just the written piece, but if you're putting an interactive piece to it, if you're putting a video, if you're putting also some takeaway downloadable asset, I know the tech that goes around putting that content, it's just going to become more expensive for some brands. Now, I think the other challenge is we're going to see more hyper personalization and micro audiences. And today people, you know, talk about personas, but I think there will be sub personas or micro personas, right? And you will have to hyper personalize your content, and maybe one piece of content will have to be rewritten 4 or 5 times for the different audiences, right? Because it's going to be harder to stand out and harder to compete. So your generic content for everybody is not going to cut it anymore. So you're going to have to hyper personalize, and maybe we can use AI to help us do that. And to that, I think brand, voice, and tone are going to become a more important thing than ever before, because you want to sound more human and more genuine. So brand strategy, voice strategy, and brand voice governance is going to become more prevalent. So you know, if anything, things are going to become more challenging. But we'll have more technology to help some of the drudgery and the lower end tasks, so we can put the time back into those more complex stuff.
I like your point about adjusting your content for different like micro audiences, let's say. And in general, many of the things that you like touched on are also things and notions that we have and push for internally. One of the things that we say and try to sort of like quote unquote evangelize is this idea of original content, which includes anything from like data studies, surveys, personal narratives, third person narratives, contrarian content, and so on and so forth. And I think that, you know, that's way more defensible, right? Creating a survey or like running a data study or anything of that sort is not as easy to execute by AI, or like the bar is higher, right? Which means that less people will do it, which means that inevitably, if you are the one who's doing it, you will stand out, right? So I think that in the future, we should see more of that in order to, let's say, avoid the commoditization of content, and also having pieces of content look so much like every other piece of content out there, and have a sea of like
Yeah.
sameness on the SERPs and like in this whole content ecosystem. Anyway, this was all very interesting. As we are like getting ready to wrap things up, I would like to ask my second to last question, actually. What can we expect from CrowdContent in the future? I saw, for example, that you are expanding to Europe by attending Brighton SEO this year. Anything else we can expect from you folks, and that you can share with us?
Yeah, so many things like we were talking before starting the episode. We're very busy trying to evolve our strategy and really understand where the market is going, so and where we need to be for our clients. So we'll be in Europe. We're going to Brighton SEO. I'll be speaking, so hopefully some folks get to go there. And very interesting conference. Not talking about my talk, but I think the conference is really interesting. But yeah, we continue to expand into other markets. But more than that, we're doing a lot of investment in the technology, because what we notice is, again, all these rays of AI is going to create more complexity, and our clients still have many challenges into the workflow and into the content value chain, if anything, right? So I think there are many pieces to it. There are many stakeholders, and it's a complex and messy process. So we're investing in our technology to see how we can help our clients make that process faster. Where can they gain productivity by applying AI, right? Like we were talking about, maybe ideation, title tagging, all that stuff that could be automated. So we'll be probably launching some software products in the near future, to again help our clients and add more value. But very exciting times. So yeah, you will see some innovation from our end, and coming out with some solutions to solve some problems that are still unsolved. But yeah, that's probably what's coming in the near future. And we're investing heavy on thought leadership. So we're producing a series of webinars. We're bringing experts. So we had Lily Ray, we had Rand Fishkin. We're bringing Anne Hanley, and potentially Mike King in the near future. We just had somebody from Google I think just yesterday. So a lot of thought leadership, because I think there's still a lot of knowledge that need to be spread out in the market, and the market changes so quickly that we need to help people keep up with the trends. So yeah, more thought leadership from more end.
I agree. And like, it's interesting because as an insider, many times you think that you take things for granted, and you think like, yeah, people know these things, like, we know them, so we assume that other people know them
Yeah.
as well. Well, not quite right, because we constantly see that. Like, we started doing webinars as well this year, and we were kind of like excited to get the feedback, and to see that people actually want to attend and want more knowledge. So even though there is a lot of content out there, I think there's room for and space for even more content, but hopefully, better content. Last question I have for you: where can people find out more and get in touch?
Yeah, well, LinkedIn. I'm fair. Well, I try to be as active as I can. I'm in Twitter as well. And just directly, people can reach out to me, Carlos.Meza at CrowdContent.com.
That's
Always
great.
open and love to hear from people.
Carlos, that was very insightful, and I hope we will be able to have a follow-up conversation when we will be in a different stage of the adoption curve when it comes to AI content.
Yeah.
Let's see when that happens. Thank you very much, and yeah, looking forward to future discussions like this.
Yeah, well, thank you, George, for having me. That's very kind of you to having invited me to your show. And look, would love to stay in touch. And yeah, we should see if there's some work that we can do together. being in the same industry. So yeah, it was a blast also having this chat with you.
Before you go, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free.